Get ready to touch that dial with your host, Spike Nesmith.
Clocking in a 5-hour, 40-minute drive from where I'm currently sitting, picking up KYW News Radio in Philadelphia isn't the most impressive bit of DXing I've ever done, but it is a pleasing catch. The all-news format is executed extremely well, and it's a dynamic listen. From 378 miles away from my recliner, this is KYW News Radio from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
In Center City at the moment, we have 40 degrees at 8:04.
Depend on KYW News Radio for up-to-the-minute weather information, sponsored by Aqua, an essential utilities company.
And as you just heard from AccuWeather, we can be in for some wild weather this weekend. KYW's John McDevitt reports that AAA Mid-Atlantic is reminding drivers to prepare ahead of time.
If you can stay off the road during this type of weather event, please do so for your safety and the safety of others.
But if you do have to be out there, Gina Tidwell with AAA Mid-Atlantic says make sure your vehicle is road ready for winter weather. Check your vehicle's battery strength and tire pressure and their treads. She says it's a good idea to have an emergency kit in the trunk.
Jumper cables, first aid kit, batteries for a flashlight. So you want to make sure you have your collapsible snow shovel, no removing brush or scraper, de-icer fluid.
Tidwell says be careful of on and off ramps. They tend to freeze before the roads. Have a full tank of gas, clear snow and ice from vehicles before operating them. It's the law. It's also mandatory to have your headlights on when using your windshield wipers. AAA advises to clear off head and tail lights.
So not only can you see what is around you and in front of you, but other vehicles can see you out there on the roadway.
She adds, make sure snow removal crews and emergency vehicles have plenty of space to maneuver. John McDevitt, KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
It's unclear who's behind this deadly explosion in Iran. The U.S. is denying any involvement. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says it's too early to say, but they don't believe Israel was responsible either. Iran says the blast happened just minutes apart as crowds gathered near the grave of Qasem Soleimani, a top Iranian commander who was killed in a U.S. airstrike 4 years ago. Nearly 100 people were killed, more than 2 others were wounded. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin.
We don't know yet who was responsible, although in Iranian eyes, the prime suspect will almost certainly be Israel, and by extension, the United States. Israel has conducted assassinations inside Iran in the past, but this appears to have been an indiscriminate bombing designed to produce mass casualties. So I think it's important not to jump to conclusions about who was responsible.
The explosions appear to be the deadliest militant attack to target Iran since its 1979 Islamic Revolution.
Violence in the Middle East. Ongoing coverage of the Israel-Hamas war on KYW News Radio.
Israel is on high alert after the massive explosion in the Lebanese capital Beirut, which killed a top Hamas official. His name, Salek Al-Aruri. There are still no claims of responsibility, as we hear from State Department spokesman Matthew Miller.
Al-Aruri was a brutal terrorist who was centrally responsible for the attacks of October 7th, as well as other attacks against innocent civilians leading back to well before October 7th.
Aruri established Hamas's military wing in the West Bank and ran Hamas's operations in Lebanon.
KYW fits right in with the heritage rolling news stations of North America. WTOP in Washington, D.C., 680 News in Toronto, and of course the legendary 1010 Wins in New York. They're slick, they're polished, and they've got the "you give us 22 minutes and we'll give you the world" format down to a science. And there's a lot to be said about that. There's a lot of moving parts, both audible and in the production of a product like KYW, and their ability to wrangle it all together should be applauded. Next week, we'll hear a station that's officially more than a century old. Till next time we touch that dial, I'm Spike Nesmith.